The sixth installment of the Mission Impossible series hits theaters this weekend, and it is packed with jam-packed stunts like you just saw. With more on this, I want to bring in Richard Crouse. He's our film critic and host of Pop Life here on CTV News Channel. Good morning, Richard. We were musing in the morning meeting that perhaps it was Mission Impossible 10, but no, we're only at number 6. This one is called Fallout.
Well, normally by the time you get this far into a franchise,
Yep.
unless it's James Bond, and even that's had its ups and downs, you've pretty much run out of gas. And this one just seems to start speeding up now at number 5 and 6. And it's mostly because of the just wild stunts that they have here. So I needed to actually, when I was writing the review, to pull out the thesaurus, because words like epic and you know, awesome and extreme or exciting don't even come close to describing the stunts in this movie. And mostly it's because they've gotten rid of the green screens, and all the stunts, whether they're on water, land, wheels, in a helicopter, whatever it might be, are real. You know, the opening scene shows Tom Cruise flying through the air with he's skydiving. They shot it over 100 times to get enough kind of cool angles and shots, and you get this sequence that doesn't look like anything. It doesn't look like it could have possibly been done in a studio, and that gives the movie, the plot maybe doesn't make so much sense, but it gives the movie a real sense of momentum. The stunts are outrageous.
Okay, so every once in a while there is a movie where the plot almost doesn't matter because it's pure eye candy. Yep. This sounds like one of those movies. Just an
absolutely
escape.
It is. And yeah, none of the Mission Impossible movies really make sense. If you sit down and think about them later, they're what I like to call, and what has famously been called, refrigerator movies. So while you're watching it, you go, oh yeah, you know, I get what's going on. And then later, when you're standing in front of the fridge looking in to make a sandwich or something, you go, hey, wait a minute, that didn't make any sense at all, as you're running it over in your mind.
Okay, so you gave Mission Impossible Fallout?
I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Okay, the next movie this week we're going to talk about is called Blindspotting.
Mm-hmm. This is quite something. This is 2 actors that you've likely never heard of unless you saw Hamilton on Broadway in its original run, Daveed Diggs and Raphael Casal, and they are lifelong friends. They've been friends for a very long time, from Oakland, California. They're now creative partners, and they're the stars of this film. Daveed is an African-American man. Raphael Casal is not. He's a white man who grew up in the same neighborhood, and they've taken their experiences of growing up together and taken the experiences of cultural appropriation, of privilege, of all these things, and put them into a story that is funny. It's really smart. It takes a twist that is quite interesting. It's a really inventive and interesting film. It's a bit sloppy, but that's kind of the point here, I think, is that the things that they're discussing here are big topics that there are no real answers to. So you've got this kind of loose, interesting movie that will make you laugh. It'll make you think. It's the kind of film that you go out afterwards and you have a coffee and talk about. So I give this one 4 out of 5 stars as well.
Okay, the next movie, Shock and Awe.
Man, I wanted to like this so much more than I did. It's Woody Harrelson and James Marsden, and they play journalists working for Knight Ridder. And Knight Ridder is a news syndicator. And in 2003, when everyone else was writing that there were weapons of mass destruction everywhere in Iraq, they said, hey, wait a minute, we can't really seem to find the proof here. We can't find it. And they had roadblocks put in front of them everywhere that they went to try and navigate this story. And ultimately, the truth won out. But it was a long journey. It should be a fascinating story. We've seen loads of other movies set in newsrooms, you know, Spotlight, All the President's Men, there's a lot of them that seem to take advantage of the real energy that happens in a newsroom. This movie does not. So I would say there's nothing particularly shocking or awesome about Shock and Awe, simply because it doesn't have the passion it needs to tell the story. And maybe it's partially because I feel, because it is in our recent-ish past, we already know the story, and so it didn't work for me so much. So I gave it 2 out of 5 stars.
Okay, too bad, because it's a great cast as well. Okay, Richard Crouse, wonderful to chat with you. We'll see you next week. Enjoy your time.
Absolutely, Marcia.
In Quebec.